Hello and welcome to Soul GPS. In today's video, I wanted to answer a question from one of my Polish viewers. It's a great question, very much applicable, and I get a lot of them. But what I love about this question is that it's really short, because I get so many letters from you and they're really long. You're sharing your whole life story, and it's pretty much impossible to answer it in a video. So if you're interested in having me answer your question in a video, if you can say it in 2-3 sentences, maybe 4 or 5, that would be the best, as it raises the possibility. So, but thank you so much for all your letters and all of your support. And if it's your first time on my channel, please subscribe, like the videos, as it helps to spread the information. I think that's how YouTube works these days, is that the more clicks, the more activity, the more people will get to see these videos and use them for in order to escape abusive situations and maybe not even get into one to begin with. And this is more or less the theme of today's video, which is, I'm going to translate from Polish live. We'll see how that goes. So this man says, thank you so much for all your work. Thanks to your videos and my own deeper reflections, I've been able to get rid of a lot of toxic people and manipulative people from my life. I mean, not all of them. I wasn't able to get rid of all of them, but at least now I know that who is toxic, and I change my approach. I change the way that I relate to them. On the other hand, I keep wondering, why do I keep attracting them? Because there were a lot of them in my life. How to defend myself from them so that I stop attracting them, and also to let them know, so they know right off the bat that they don't have a chance in getting close to me, and they will leave me alone and go somewhere else. Great questions, really a lot of questions in one question, and I'm going to answer it in 4 points. Now, of course, this is a broad subject. This is a complex issue, this whole thing about attracting abusers, and it takes quite a bit of work and excavating your own inner psyche and your own architecture, getting to know yourself, and also getting to know people with narcissistic personality disorders, or the entire cluster B of personality disorders, because it is not something that a lot of people talk about. Right? I remember when I was studying psychology in college. Now, I took a few classes. I don't have a degree in psychology, but I did take a few classes. I remember it was one lesson, right? It was an hour and 20 minutes, I think. That's all we did on personality disorders, and that's the reality of the situation. In fact, I've heard from Chris Godinez on her channel that there is a movement in the DSM community to get rid of the personality disorders altogether. And I'm curious, who's trying to make that decision and push towards it. It's really scary, because there's a lot of people actually in psychology, in the community of healers, who are highly narcissistic. I hear horror stories from my clients, how they've married a therapist who is world-renowned and writes books about things and has been torturing his spouse behind closed doors. So, it's very broad. But, a lot of people just don't know. They don't know. And it takes having the experience, unfortunately, going through the suffering, feeling the poison spread through your veins, if I am to be this graphic, and going through the dark night of the soul in order to understand what this is, and so when you work with somebody, ideally you want to work with somebody who's been there and who will understand. So how can you stop attracting narcissists and prevent them from getting into your world? Is number 1, you need to educate yourself. You need to learn about this. You need to read books about this, watch videos about this. And I guess you're doing that already because you're watching this video, so that's really good. So some of the books that I would highly, highly recommend are, number 1, Psychopath Free, saved my life. Jackson MacKenzie did a phenomenal job. It's a very simply written book, but it has such incredibly deep content and a style of writing where you feel like you're with somebody. There's somebody next to you who's understanding what you've been through. So it's extremely validating, comforting, and educational. So I highly recommend this book as, I would say, number 1 on the list. Number 2 on the list, this book is for women, although I'd say if you are a man who's been with an antisocial, personality disordered woman, this could be a good material for you as well to look into. I mean, we grab what we can, right? And great information in this book. It's Sandra L. Brown's book, Women Who Love Psychopaths. That book was such an eye-opener for me, especially from the point of view of trance induction and how these people use all sorts of techniques to put you in a deep trance in order to plant seeds, plant associations, create layering. I actually talk about it in my series on verbal manipulations of a narcissist. I think that's what it's called. It's here on my channel, so you can search that. So yeah, they use associations, they use NLP, they use hypnosis. I mean, it just goes on. It's scary. So you want to educate yourself about that. So those are the two books. Actually, one more is George Simon, In Sheep's Clothing. That book is phenomenal because it lists the techniques and the strategies that aggressive personalities use in order to manipulate others. So I highly recommend it. Point number 2 is you feel empty inside. That's why we attract narcissists, or that's what makes you susceptible and vulnerable to narcissists. So it usually stems from childhood wounds, deep issues, deep unresolved pain from either not being loved by your parents, one of the parents. Sometimes you could come actually from a great family, but you had a sibling that was bullying you and hurting you and abusing you. Could be a neighbor. It could be an uncle who was sexually abusing you and you couldn't tell. It could be a teacher. I mean, anyone could create those wounds. And if it's unresolved, it's almost like it collapses on itself and creates this black hole feeling inside. You know, oftentimes we mistake it for emptiness, but having now practiced meditation and I've been working on excavating myself, you know, and being really present and mindful. When we're really empty, it actually feels really good, right? It's like we feel light. It's like going on a diet. And you eat really healthy for a few days and you start to feel light and everything's just like working better. Your mind gets clear. It's that idea. So it's not so much emptiness that you feel. I would say it's more like this wound, this gnawing black hole feeling where it's just sucking all your energy and it's sitting there like a bowling ball in your stomach. So that's something that needs to be addressed. As long as it isn't, unfortunately, it will be really difficult for you to pick the right partner because you are going to go for, you know, an old sandwich and little breadcrumbs instead of waiting for your gourmet meal. Because when you're healed or when you're working on your healing, your life takes on deeper meaning. There's more activity. There's healing that takes place. It all gives you a lot of sustenance, nurturing, positive energy. So you become less desperate for filling that inner void. Whereas if you have that inner void, then we tend to fall into that desperation and pick the wrong people. There's a great saying, you know, and you don't date when you're lonely, you don't shop when you're hungry. And I think that we need to really take this to heart and really work on our inner child to be able to create this healing. Now, inner child healing, just a few words about that. It's a very delicate process because it can be extremely re-traumatizing if it's not done correctly. Just want to put it out there because some of us hold so much deep grief, sadness, anger that if it's set off, it could be too overwhelming to process at once. So it's best to do it with someone else being there for you, holding your hand, so to speak, so you can feel safe, guiding you, right? If you're approaching it on your own, then take it in small steps, a little bit at a time. I love this idea of a cup of tea meditation, something I came up with sort of accidentally while I was working on my own inner child issues. And it's basically, I've allowed myself to tune everything out and be completely in my body for the duration of me holding a hot cup of tea. And as it's, you know, it's oozing its aroma out, so I'm just sitting there and I'm just being with my emotions and I'm allowing everything to come up and I'm just acknowledging it. I'm being there with myself all the way until I finish drinking this tea, which also gives you a sense of kind of warmth and nurturing. So I like how the two work together. So I'm nurturing myself, I'm loving myself while I'm also experiencing all my emotions, creates a nice positive safety association. And then I put the cup away and I return back to whatever I was doing. And it's a short enough of a duration, about 10, 12 minutes, but you can do a lot of work during that time. And because it has a limit, you know, when you finish drinking, you're free to go. it creates kind of safety parameters. Now, if you know your abuse reaches deep, if the trauma is really intense, then you know that you can absolutely heal it. It's possible, but you have to heal it. You have to feel it in order to heal it. And sometimes we just need help. So make sure if you're looking for a therapist that they understand and they know, they're familiar with inner child healing techniques. It's very important. You want somebody who really gets it. So just to put this out there. So you need to fill that void before you go out and look for relationships, because otherwise you will be susceptible to attracting somebody who's going to take advantage of your pain. I mean, what a horrible thing. There are people out there who take advantage of your pain, who make fun of it, who shame it. I mean, it's horrible. It gets worse. You see how that can get even worse? That wound can get deeper. You're going to rub salt into it. So you want to protect yourself. Take a step back, educate yourself, heal yourself, surround yourself with people who make you feel good, and refrain from trying to go deep with somebody when you're not sure who they are. Listen to your gut feeling here. Listen to your intuition. Point number 3, you have a tendency of being a people pleaser. So this is the codependent personality that either is formed in childhood, if we're raised in a way that we sacrifice ourselves for the good of others. Say it's a sick mother, who requires a lot of your attention all the time. So you never had the chance to really experience your childhood properly. And instead, you've learned very early on, you were programmed to give of yourself and give, and it was, of course, never enough. So it's a pretty damaging thing. Again, you can heal from it, but for some time, it's going to make you feel like you can only be in touch with your value and self-worth by the degree of which you give of others. And of course, if you meet on your path someone who is very exploitative, you're going to end up, on the street. I don't mean literally, but used and abused. So you need to be careful with that and work on your personality so you're not a doormat, so you're not a codependent person. One of the best books and materials on the subject is the work of Mellody. She's done a tremendous job putting out great books on the subject of healing codependency. Now, codependency can also be something that is developed inside of a relationship. That was my case. I wasn't codependent when I was a teenager, or even 17, 18. It was when I met someone during that early time. I was slowly molded. My independence was slowly being stripped away, and my strength and my self-sufficiency, and I was also in a vulnerable place in my life, so I kind of gave into it to a degree. I take full responsibility. But then it was replaced with me feeling like I can't do anything without this person. Like this person, is, I can't function, which made me stay in this relationship for a very long time. A lot of people suffer from that. They feel like they just won't be able to do this, but it's not true. You can. You've been just made to believe that you can't, and the belief is deeply rooted. So we'll need to work through that and bring it to light and change it. So work on your people pleaser tendencies and learn to put yourself first. Draw the boundaries, say no. You'll actually get much more respect that way from good people who are good for you. They'll respect you. And people who are not good for you will naturally fall away because they will not like you saying no to them. Narcissists hate that. They have to have their way. They have to control you. So Mellody is great for working on this. Oh, actually going back to point 2, the feeling of the emptiness and the inner child work, I would highly recommend the work of John Bradshaw with his Homecoming book, and also he had a video series for PBS that he did. I don't know if it's available on YouTube. I found it when I was working through my inner child. It was very helpful, but recently I was looking for it for a client, and it was taken down, so maybe somebody put it back up, maybe not. You can order it, I think, on CDs from Amazon. It's amazing. It's such a great program. I highly recommend it. John is phenomenal. He left such a legacy for us. Eternally grateful for him. So he'll help you with the inner child, and then you can go deeper. I mean, once you start getting into the materials, you'll be able to find other people, who help with this. Another one is Alice Miller, huge. what is it called? The Drama of the Gifted Child. That book is a must read for anyone working on the inner child. I'm going to write these names down here so I can write them down in the description below. Alice Miller, John Bradshaw. Okay, super. Okay, and finally, point number 4 is high tolerance for abuse, violence, pain, bullshit. I can say it ugly, use the ugly word, but it's true. It's true. It's when we have been trained to be so tough. I mean, imagine all the people I work with are incredibly strong, but they've been pushed to the point of breaking, right? They've taken on so much. They're like the Atlas, carrying the weight of the world, carrying the weight of the relationship on their shoulder. They're exhausted, they're fatigued. Some of them, get all sorts of illnesses. It's like their body is screaming. It's telling them, stop, this is wrong, don't do this, and even some of the people I work with, as we go deeper and start to excavate their own belief systems, their architecture of their psyche, there are a lot of beliefs that are planted in a lot of empathic people, such as, they want to save the world. They want to make the world a better place. I mean, it sounds beautiful, but you can't make the world a better place or save it unless you first learn to save yourself. And if you can save yourself, and if you can create a joyful, happy, wholesome life for yourself, you will be naturally spreading love and good qualities everywhere you go, up-leveling the consciousness of the world. So if you do just that and learn to take care of yourself, you're automatically helping to make the world a better place. You don't need to toil and do all sorts of things where you sacrifice yourself, where you sacrifice your needs. That's how you become a narcissist attractor, because they see you, toiling there, trying to prove yourself, pleasing everyone. They're like, oh, yeah, I want that because that's where the food is at, right? That's where the supply is at. I can use this person to do things for me. You don't want to do that. So that's how you stop attracting them, is you draw that boundary. You focus on yourself. You develop yourself. You develop your strength. In most cases, it's already all there. That's the cool thing that I'm discovering a lot through my work with my clients, is that the joy, the happiness, the power, the strength, these are things that are already inside you. They've just been covered up with a layer of lies and a layer of just all sorts of myths we've picked up, either from society or from family, and these things need to be done away with. So it's basically, we're doing a lot of cleanup so we can excavate and bring forth the beautiful inner sculpture of gold that you already are. So lower your tolerance for pain. This is a message for the girls now. I'm talking to you. Don't be the cool girl. Don't let the guy walk all over you. Don't let him do this, and that when it's seriously compromising your relationship and your values. Of course, I'm not talking about controlling another person or preventing them from spending time with their friends. I'm not talking about any of that. That's really important. For a healthy, balanced relationship, we have to have our own life. We have to have our own interests. We have to be encouraging each other to keep growing and so on. We can't be spending every minute together. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where your boundaries are being pushed. When you're being asked to give proof of your love by committing a crime, or by doing a threesome, when you don't feel comfortable because your partner is pressing you for it, and they say, I'm going to leave you if you don't do this. That's a violation of your personal space. You can't be afraid of losing that person. I know it's going to feel empty. You'll feel devastated for some time. You'll have to work through this, but there's no way you'll ever have a good relationship with a person like that, who's taking such advantage of you and abusing you. They're probably already doing it for somebody else. So we need to wake up, and we need to say no, and we need to put ourselves first. That's how we build self-respect. That's how we build self-esteem. That's how we build our confidence, right? We start to do things that are right for us, and then we look back, we're like, okay, I did this, and that. Now I'm here. That means, yes, I can do it. That gives you enough strength and momentum to take the next step, and then the next step, and then your life just takes off. And it builds on itself, that your energy starts to come back. You start to grow in the right direction. You become more self-sufficient. You become better organized. It's like, oh my God, the gifts are just immense. It just keeps getting better. So don't be the cool girl. If you don't like something, figure out a way to say it, in a way that is that is personal. Learn nonviolent communication. It's a great skill to have. And if you're dealing with a person where you're not sure, you're sort of on the cusp, I don't know if this is an abuser, this is somebody who's trying to take advantage of me, or if this person is, really good and they just made a mistake, right? Then by setting a boundary and stating how you feel as a result of their actions is going to maybe give them that exact wake-up call that they need in order for them to learn and grow too personally, so that they can be a better partner for you, right? So you can't lose. It's a win-win. You lose the toxic person and you gain respect. So practice this, lower your tolerance for pain. And same goes for men. Sure, this girl you met, she's cute, she's hot, she's got a bunch of guys around her, and oh my God, what a prize, what a great thing, I want to show off with her, and she's cool too, and we had a few good conversations, then we have good chemistry, the sexual tensions building, wow, right? Be careful. Be careful, because if this girl then goes out and does the same thing with other guys and does this, and there's no clear boundary here, and you're starting to feel betrayed inside and like something's really wrong here, drop that person as soon as you can. And there's somebody else there for you who's way better, somebody who's not going to treat you like that. But this way you learn about, okay, I don't like this doesn't make me feel good. So by treating yourself with the respect that you deserve, by not exposing yourself to this kind of behavior, you're going to raise your chances for attracting somebody much better. Or maybe this person just doesn't know, right? Same thing like with the guy. She may not know, she may need a reminder, maybe she's young, maybe she doesn't understand. Talk to her about boundaries. Talk to her about your needs and your expectations, and see what she does with that. That's going to be very valuable information for you. So that's one way to test, somebody. It should be a video, how to test if somebody is a narcissist or not. So anyway, so that's pretty much what I have for you today. Those 4 points, bunch of authors that I will list down below. Again, how to stop attracting narcissists, just to sum it up, and also, eliminate the ones that are maybe still in your life from your life and make them leave you alone. Is number 1, educate yourself, read about it, learn about it, study the subject. Number 2, work on this emptiness, this inner void, this black hole of pain that needs attention, that needs your love. There's a voice that's screaming inside for your attention, for your love, for your help, and you have the power to heal it. Number 3, work on not being a doormat and a people pleaser. Learn to say no, draw your boundaries, exit a situation that feels uncomfortable to you. Number 4, lower your tolerance for pain and mistreatment, abuse, and so on and so forth. Don't be the cool guy. Don't be the cool girl. Respect yourself. Put yourself first. So that's what I have for you today. Before I sign off, thank you for all of your support. Thank you for sending me beautiful letters, for inviting me to your countries. It always melts my heart. And a quick announcement, I am going to be teaching workshops in the US this summer. One will be in New York City on June 1st. It's a Saturday, and another one will be on June 15th, also Saturday in San Francisco. So this way I'll be able to hit both coasts. If you're interested, let me know as soon as you can, so I can put you on the list, on the waiting list. And it will be probably a smaller workshop. I'm thinking 10 to 12 people. I've done events with larger groups and smaller groups. 12 is about the magic sweet spot for getting a lot out of it, and for us to really be able to work through quite a bit with the material that I have prepared for you. So thank you so much again for your attention. Thank you for your comments. Please share down below what really resonated with you. If you have any other strategies, let us know. People are reading these comments, and keep supporting each other. It's such a beautiful thing to see when someone asks a question in the comments and you rush in to help them. It really helps both of us, doesn't it? The giver and the receiver. So thank you again so much. I wish you a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.